Hi everyone, welcome to our channel, Rebecca, Stu, and the crew. I'm Rebecca, and I'm so excited to show you this new craft I learned this week that I learned about on a Facebook group, and I wanted to see how it works for myself and then share it with y'all. So the supplies we'll need for number one, the craft here will be a water bottle. I'm going to use 3 different kinds: the tall brand from Walmart, the Hydro Flow from Sam's Club, and then a Hydro Flask. You can also use the Dollar Tree brand for $5. They're in the plus section. We'll need the Citristrip stripping gel for paint and varnish. I'm going to use a Cricut, but you could use stencils as well, and the light grip mat. We'll need the light grip mat because we're going to be using the Crafter's Square vinyl, and we'll need some alcohol to clean the cups with, also some masking tape, and then these blocks to help keep our cups from rolling. So let's get crafty. So the first thing we're going to do is open Design Space. I measured my cups from top to bottom and then side to side to see about how wide it is before the curve. And then I figured out how large I wanted to make my rectangles for my stencils. So I'm going to make 2 exactly the same. One will be a little bit smaller because I have 2 different size water bottles. And then this will become our stencil that we're going to put on the cup. Now, if you don't have a Cricut or Design Space, you can use the vinyl. You can take a rectangle size shape and then use some of the Dollar Tree stencils, lay that on top of your vinyl, trace around it with a Sharpie, and then cut it out with a razor blade, and you can create your own personalized cup. You could put like initials, you could do your name. It's really up to you what you put on it. They even have some different stencils at Dollar Tree, which are sticky on the back that would work on these cups as well, just to give it a pretty design. So you can do these even without a cutting machine. I always try to be mindful that not everybody owns one of these machines, and it's not always in the budget for everyone as well. So I was lucky to be gifted one of these for my kids for Christmas. So I'm really happy to be able to use it. But again, I want to make sure you guys know you can do these crafts too, even if you don't have one of these cutting machines. So now I'm just going to choose a font that I like. And then once I pick that out, I'm going to type out the names that we're going to put on the cups. As you notice, I've changed the color of the rectangles to coordinate with which cup goes to which stencil. That will just help me remember which one goes with which cup when I'm working with this. So then all I do is enlarge the name, and I'll keep working with it until I get it the size that I want. But I did notice that some of the lines that go up to the next letter are a little bit thin, and I was concerned that there wouldn't be enough space, empty space there for when we put the stripping gel on to be able to get a big enough line that it would be visible and make the cup easily readable. So what I did is I used the offset tool to make the word just a tiny bit bigger, and then I just weld the offset background to the actual word to make it a tiny bit wider. And that works really well to help enlarge some really fine font and makes it a little bit easier to cut and weed for certain projects, especially with the Dollar Tree vinyl. So once I get it into place here, I'm just going to select the blue rectangle and the name, and then I will slice the name out of the background, and then that will become our stencil. So right now I'm just adding the offset. It doesn't matter what color it is because we're going to weld it together. And as you can see, I made it just a tiny bit wider. And then I'll select that and weld it so it becomes one solid piece. And then we'll select the word in the background, and then we'll slice this out of the background. And then you'll move the words from the top. And you can delete those if you like, or you can save them. You can just hide them by hitting the eye icon next to them in the workspace over to the right. And then I'll move this over, and I'll continue the same process with the other 2 rectangles to put the names on for the cups that we're going to do. So now we'll clean our cup with the alcohol to make sure there's no fingerprints on there. When you use your Dollar Tree vinyl, you want to really brush it down to make sure it's going to stick to the backing. Again, we're using the light grip mat, and we'll cut this out with the Cricut. Once it's cut out, then we will start weeding. So remember, we're making a stencil, so you want to weed this a little bit different. Usually we'll remove the background and just leave the word, because that's what we're going to put on the cup. But instead, we're going to remove the wording, so we have that empty space. That's where our Citristrip gel is going to go. And the rest of it works as like a border to protect the cup so that it doesn't get onto the cup. And we'll just have the word removed on the paint for the background of the cup. So now to get this on the cup, what we're going to do is take some of this Dollar Tree magic cover. It's over by the like shelf liner, and we're going to use this as a transfer tape. So it's a little bit too sticky, so you want to lay it on top of a towel or something a few times to remove some of the stickiness, or else it'll be really hard to remove the vinyl underneath. So that's what I do. I just stick it to a towel a few times and then pull it up, and then it won't be so sticky. Once we have the transfer tape fixed, we're just going to lay this right on top of our stencil. And then you'll burnish it down a little bit with the Dollar Tree tool. And then just remove the backing. And now we can easily take this stencil and put it on our cup. As you can see, I just kind of eyeball it. And then I start from the middle and rub out to the side so I don't get any air bubbles. Then you'll remove the transfer tape once you make sure there's no bubbles underneath. And of course, you're going to want to use your masking tape and tape all around the outsides of the stencil. No matter which direction you put the cup while the Citra gel is on there, it will run a little bit because you have to put a decent amount on there. So you do want to make sure you protect the rest of the cup so you don't end up stripping the paint off where you don't want it to be. I did heat this up with the heat gun a little bit just to make sure that it was well stuck to the cup. Since it is Dollar Tree vinyl, it doesn't always stick really well. So I just wanted to make sure that it was going to stay. So I just take these Jenga blocks and I tape them down to the table. And that way I keep the cups from rolling around. And this is just for when I'm adding the Citra gel. So I did a few of those, and then I put all the cups together. And then I started with a sponge brush applying the Citra gel. I actually found it was easier just to use my hand. So it didn't seem like it was going on real well with the paintbrush or a sponge brush. So I ended up just pouring some into a small disposable cup and then scooping it out with my finger, and then making sure I had all those blank spaces filled in. So here's what they look like. Of course, you can see it's running a little bit. Now, an hour later, a lot of people say to wait a half an hour, but an hour later, I took this tool and I scraped the paint to see if it was coming up, and it was. I didn't realize the first cup that I was doing, this blue one, actually needed more time. So the cup that is called Hydra Flow, which was from Sam's Club, probably could have used another half an hour. I really had to scrape at the paint to get it off. I'm running it under cold water, and then I just scrape with the scraping tool here. But it really was a lot of work to get it off. It didn't want to just come off like I thought it would. So that's nice to know that there's different timing for all the cups. That's why I used 3 different brands. I wasn't sure how easy or hard this would be to remove. Now, this cup here is the Tall brand, and that is the cup that I got at Walmart. And as you can see, an hour was plenty of time. You can actually see how the paint changed color. You can see the wording. It's kind of like a lighter color blue. And I just used the scraping tool and just slowly worked my way around the wording, just because I wanted to be careful. I didn't know if the paint was going to lift up where I didn't have the gel, and I didn't want to ruin it. But it didn't. It's really well stuck down. I'm not worried about the edges peeling up at all. I even think I could probably throw this in the dishwasher if I wanted to, and I don't think it would do any harm to it. So once I have it mostly scraped off, I was able to remove the rest of it with just a dry paper towel. Now this is the Hydro Flask. I actually did 2 Hydro Flasks. I'm just going to show the one. And what I do first is I just remove the whole stencil, and then I take a paper towel, wipe off that Citra gel. And then I'll use a paper towel. And as you can see, it's coming off very easily. And again, this was just an hour. So a lot of people say it only takes 30 minutes. From the videos that I've seen, I feel like it took a full hour to be really able to remove it easily without struggling and scratching the metal underneath. And of course, like I said, the one from Sam's Club, it actually needed more time than an hour. So it really just depends on which cup you have and how well the paint is on the cup. A lot of these are powder coated. And so I think it just really depends on the brand. So once I get all the paint off or most of it, then again, I just go in with a dry paper towel and remove it. And then I'll wash these cups with soap and water to make sure there's no stripping gel left behind. So these are super easy. Like I said, the paint around the wording, it is on there. It is not coming off. I tried scraping it with my finger. I used the back of a spoon, just different things to kind of scrape at it because I was just curious to see if it was going to hold up. And I think they're going to hold up really well. So this is the yellow one we made. I am absolutely in love with these. I think this reverse etching is super cool. It's really fun. So these are some of the cups. Now let's use some Dollar Tree materials. So again, we're going to be using the Dollar Tree vinyl. We're going to try a dog bowl that has some paint on the outside, one of their charger plates, and then one of the mini pails they have in the party section. So I thought these would be fun to try. Again, we'll use the alcohol to clean them, and then we'll need the transfer tape. We're also going to use the gel again. And we'll just use our finger and a pair of gloves and then the Cricut. Again, you can use a stencil. We'll need the light grip mat. So let's get crafty. So let's see how these work. So the pail first, I'm just going to make a stencil that says pencils. I actually use these in my room to hold crafts supplies. So for the pencils, I just made this very simple stencil and I did the same process as I did before with the other cups. I'm not going to show it again. I'm just going to show you what they look like when they're done. So the dog bowl, we have the word Luna, and we're going to put some paw prints and hearts around the bowl. I thought that would be fun. I taped all around it. We'll add the gel. And then the charger plate, I decided to make a fall design. It says blessed, thankful, and thankful for every day. And I painted all around or taped all around the plate. And then again, we will add the Citra gel. And I'm going to wait 1 hour again to see how this works. Now for the pencils, I wipe off the gel. I remove the vinyl. And you can see how the paint changed colors. I'm pretty sure it's ready to go. That's a really great indicator. And then I started with the dry paper towel. And I got some of it to come off. And then once I got it started, it really started to come off quite easily once it was pretty much dry. So I pretty much removed all of this with just a paper towel. And again, you'll want to wash it with soap and water when you're completely finished. But this is the pencil cup. Really good. Worked really well. And then we'll do the dog bowl next. So first I wipe it down with a wet wipe and then the paper towel. I have already removed all the vinyl and the tape. And again, I'm just using a dry paper towel here and a wet wipe. I did end up going in with the little mini scraper from Dollar Tree to help remove some of it. It was just a little bit faster to remove it that way. And this also worked really well on the cup. So an hour, the timing seemed pretty good. I did have a few spots that were stubborn to get off, but I just think it's because I didn't have the gel thick enough in that area. And that's why a few tiny little dots weren't coming off. But that was easily fixed with just a small emery board. I was able to file it down a little bit and make it less noticeable. So again, this is the word, it's the dog's name. It's Luna. I was making it for a gift for someone. And then we wash it with soap and water. And this turned out really well. Also, I think this worked really well. I don't see that paint chipping up anywhere around the edges. And as long as it's washed by hand, I think that will do really well. Now the charger plate, I wish I would have waited a little bit longer. Most of it was fine. Over by the E and the D of the word blessed, I had a little bit of trouble getting some of the paint to come off. And again, I think it's just because I didn't put it on thick enough. And then the F on the word thankful was a little bit rough. But for the most part, I got it to come off fairly easily, and I really love the way this turned out. I think this would be so cute for like a wedding. You could personalize them. So many different options there. So now craft number 3 is a little bit different. We're not going to strip anything. We're just going to use some Dollar Tree vinyl, these personalized banners from Dollar Tree. We're going to use those as a stencil. You can either use these faux leather bags or the faux leather from Dollar Tree. It comes in 4 different colors. We'll need a Sharpie. And then we'll also need, you could use these letters if you like, if you don't have a Cricut. And then we'll need some of this jute rope. I'm also going to use some masking tape. And then we'll need some hot glue and some scissors and a ruler. I'm going to use my Cricut instead of the poster letters. And I'll need the light grit mat and the strong grit mat. So let's get crafty. So the first thing we're going to do is take that personalized banner from Dollar Tree, and we're going to lay it on our faux vinyl, or faux leather, I should say, and we're just going to make 5 stencils. So we're going to need 5 banners here to make the whole banner. It's going to say Welcome Fall. So I just trace this out with the Sharpie, and once I have 5 pieces, then I will cut these out with my scissors. And they're these little stencils or these banners that you can personalize. They come in 2 different styles. I like this style for the banner that I'm making, but you can choose either or. So you do want to try to cut them out right on the line. You want them as similar as you can get them. You don't want them to be all different sizes. It would make it look weird when it was finished. If you like, you can just cut these out on the Cricut. You can measure it, and they actually have a shape tool that looks exactly like this. So you wouldn't have to do a lot of work to create this pennant to cut out on the Cricut. And you would use your strong grit mat for this, but I'm just going to cut mine out by hand. So we have the 5 pieces all cut out. And then I cut out the wording that I'm going to use on the Cricut, just with the Dollar Tree vinyl. I did the same process I did with the cups. You burnish it down to make sure it sticks to the backing. And then you choose the paper setting to cut out this vinyl. And then just go ahead and cut them out. And then what I did is I just tape the banner together so they're all in a line. And this will help me line up the letters to keep them in a straight line. So I used my ruler, and then I'm just going to put the letters on each little banner here. And the stencil, as you can see, I folded it in 4 so I could find the center, and that's helping me line the center of the letters up with the center of the banner. So these I just did by hand. With the word welcome, I did use the transfer tape. They looked a little plain, so I decided to cut some leaves out of gold vinyl that I just had. This is not the glitter vinyl from Dollar Tree, but that would work as well. You could also use some of the wall decal stickers they have. They have some gold leaves out right now that you could cut apart and use on this banner. That would also work. And then the poster letters, if you use the darker color faux leather, you could actually paint those poster letters and make them white, and they look almost exactly like the stencil I chose. So I chose different leaves to do on the first banner, and this is what it looks like so far. And then we're going to cut 1 by 3.5 inch rectangles from the leather. We'll need 2 each, and these are going to be the tabs that will hold our banner to the rope. So I kind of drew out the stencil on a piece of paper, and then I'll mark how far down to glue each one of these little rectangles for the holder, and that way they'll all hang at the same height. I didn't want to glue one a little further down than the next and then have it not hang straight. So we're just going to glue the tabs down using some hot glue. And once you get both tabs down in place, you're just going to add some more hot glue and then fold the tab towards the back to create a loop. And we're going to do this for all of these little banner pieces. And once they're dry, we can go ahead and add the nautical rope. I chose the blue in tan because it matched the banner. This is over by the shore living items that they've been selling over the summer. And I just used the whole piece. I didn't cut it down at all. So I made sure I found the center of the rope and then what letter would be in the middle. Once I had them down like this, what I did is I glued a little bit of glue underneath of the tab to hold them to the rope. And that way they don't slide when I hang them up. And that is it. So these are all the things we made today. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make these crafts with me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And here are some other videos from our channel you might also enjoy. I'll see you guys next time.